Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is caitom and today we are back with another apartment renovation. I guess not another, but the last time I did an apartment renovation was couple videos ago, a while ago. This little build funk that I was in from my previous video has kind of continued in today, so we are just here to furnish something a bit on the smaller side, I want to say. Well, I guess not small. I want to say this is like a mid-size apartment. When I uploaded this to the gallery, it did say it was 11 by 18 tiles. I don't know if this looks like 11 by 18 tiles, but it sounds small. Anyways, this apartment that I'm renovating is the 121 Hakim house in the Arts Quarter neighborhood in San Myshuno. And unfortunately that means if you do not own the City Living expansion pack, you will not be able to play in this apartment as it is intended. And speaking of, in order to download this renovation, you can find it under the gallery under my ID, caitom caitom, and I believe I just left the title as is, the 121 Hakim house. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but like it's pretty self-explanatory. And if you are unfamiliar with the process of uploading and placing apartments in The Sims 4, you basically have to make the whole apartment one whole room by deleting some walls. Usually people just delete the walls where the doors are, just so if anything gets misplaced, you know where the walls go, I guess. I don't know who thought that this process made a lot of sense when they released the Sims 4 expansion pack, but it doesn't seem like it will change at all in the future. And I guess the reason why you have to make apartments one room is just so you only have to place down one singular room instead of placing each room separately. And it just sounds a lot simpler to draw back the walls when you're in build mode before going into live mode, I guess. Anyways, about this apartment, it is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom that can sleep 2, I want to say young adults, but I guess if you have an older teen, maybe like a sim that could pass off as like 19, they could live here as well. And 1 child. When I started to decorate this apartment, I didn't really have anyone or anything personality related in mind. The red brick shell from last week was supposed to have this style of interior, but anything that I placed in that shell, I wasn't really happy with it, so I have furnished this to compensate for that idea that I had. But yeah, I guess I very loosely imagined 2 art students who have a passion for interior design or a lot of patterns to give this apartment a makeover. And maybe to pay for expenses, they probably got one of their friends with a very similar interests to split the cost. But to explain why I furnish a child's room, let's just say one of the art students has a sibling that they need to take care of. And considering the cute and bright style of the room, they probably look up to their sibling and are happy to share the same interests. Honestly, considering that I imagine 3 Sims living here and having a full dining set seems like a bit of an overkill, but the dining space that I designated for this apartment just screamed like it needed a full set. I for sure use a lot of Decor to the max and high school years items, so I guess the students here have an affinity for a maximalist style, or just something with a lot of patterns, or maybe being big and bold is just their personal motto. But one thing I want to ask you guys is, I recently made a more accurate sim self, and I was wondering if watching a sped up video of me basically making that sim and me talking over it, would that be something y'all would enjoy? I mean visually it looks kind of nice. I downloaded a cast background and I recently got into custom poses, so I was taking screenshots all day yesterday, and I don't know, it seems like it would be fun to have a little makeshift photo shoot after showing y'all the process of me making the sim. But yeah, do let me know in the comments if you would be interested. But back to the build. That little thing I did there with the mirror, I was basically making my own sort of fancy mirror to fit the rest of the apartment's vibes, and I basically did so by sizing up a base game painting and placing these also base game tall mirrors inside of it in order to give it a sort of frame and match the little detail from, I guess, the coffee table, because it has a bit of the gold or some sort of metallic aspect that I was going for. I believe I got the inspiration from Sid Mack when she gave those gallery paintings their own little makeshift frame using the same method, and I think it just makes sense in this space because I imagine the students to be quite creative. I mean, they're art students, they practically interior design this whole apartment. And maybe that same creativity shows up in their wardrobe, so they just have a huge mirror to check themselves before they go out if they want to take some fancy aesthetic pictures. Mainly, I just needed something large to fill that wall space, but we can totally pretend that what I said before was definitely my first line of thought. But now that we've moved on to the bedrooms, I just want to point out that I tried maybe 3 different color schemes for this one. I tried purple and yellow, pink and purple, blue and gold, but I finally remembered the dark green swatches from the high school years expansion pack, and I finally put them to use. I also used that wallpaper from the Decor to the Max, which I guess sort of has the same color. That is a bit of a stretch, but it's sort of the same color. And I thought it went well with the bedspread and the rest of the furniture that I add here. But compared to the rest of the apartment, this room is definitely the darkest. I think that maybe that sort of aspect could tell us about the Sims' personality. Maybe them gravitating to these darker shades could suggest that this particular Sim is a bit more mature as opposed to the other Sim, who you'll see eventually. They like brighter, more pastel colors, and I guess based off of that alone, the child that is also in this apartment, they're probably their sibling, like I mentioned before, similar interests, similar styles, I guess. And really quickly, I just want to point out that those curtains that I think I use, they have this certain red swatch that I really want to use. So in my next build, you'll probably see a room with those curtains and that red swatch. I just think they're so pretty and have really nice cozy vibe to it. But enough of that room, and let's enjoy this brighter room, shall we? I cut out the beginning footage of both the rooms, basically because it was just a minute of me being super indecisive about the furniture and the color scheme and the swatches of just about everything I put in here. Like the first room, I went through various color schemes before settling on this sort of lavender, maybe pastel purple, in combination with pinks and this light wood tone that I want to say is birch because Minecraft, but yeah, all of that is basically from the high school years expansion pack. And actually, when I first saw this swatch on the bed, it immediately reminded me of this Genshin character named Kokomi. It seems like a fitting aesthetic considering the design resembles, I want to say, fish scales, and her color scheme is pretty much this, but just ever so slightly more blue rather than purple. And for more context, she has water powers and is pretty much a mermaid. If you're more familiar with Genshin, do let me know if you agree. Me including that desk in this sort of brighter room kinda meant that it would be a little bit redundant or unfair if I had the third room designated as an office, which is what I originally planned it to be, just because the Sims here would likely be students, or maybe they just need somewhere to kind of just focus and be really creative. But like I said, it would seem quite unfair, so I do end up changing that into a child's bedroom. I think I've just had developed a mentality to sort of include as many beds as possible when making apartments or homes. I think I heard it from Evelyn, who I think she explained it that it would allow for more Sims to spawn. I'm sorry, more townies to generate, and just a greater variety besides all the townies that are already there. So just a quick little explanation if you were wondering why I designate this apartment for 2 college students but include a child. But now we are decorating one of the 2 bathrooms. I'm not sure if it's noticeable, but I do not include all of my bathrooms in this speed build, and I really don't bother taking screenshots of any of my bathrooms for the speed builds. They all end up looking pretty much the same because I tend to make them the same shape, 2 by 3 tiles, 3 by 3 tiles, 2 by 4 tiles, so not much variation, and I don't really know how to decorate bathrooms. And speaking of screenshots, I don't know why for this particular apartment, well, I don't usually renovate apartments, but when I was taking screenshots, I was in the cinematic camera and I'm trying to move through the apartment, and suddenly it slings me outside the apartment and kind of brings me out of where I positioned it to be. I don't know why it's so weird. It might just be a me thing or a mod thing, because I did it in build mode, which you can use the cinematic camera in build mode with the tool mod. I'll link it down below if you are interested. But yeah, enough about that. The kids room. So as you can see, I'm using this particular bed swatch I've been wanting to use for a bit now. It's like, it looks like a phone case. If the phone case was decorated to look like, I want to say candy or something. It's very bubblegum, very cutesy, and I think it kind of fit the rest of the vibes. You can definitely tell it's for someone a bit younger than the rest of the household. But yeah, I include a couple of necessary kid items, and that is pretty much the whole kids room. And before I forget, I want to mention that there is a fake little entryway that I include in this build. Nothing fancy, I just wanted a different door. But that is pretty much the whole build besides that. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, if you want to download this home, it is up on my gallery under my ID CAITOM. The title is 121 Hakim House, the title of the apartment. Feel free to like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye for now.